Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It's me, Kia Simone, and we are here to get into this week's episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, where Martell thinks he is coming to America and Dr. Francis is trying to get Tisha to come back to her senses. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you've not already. But let's just get into this review. So the episode opens up at Martell's launch party. He comes downstairs dressed like, is that velvet? I don't know what in the albino foxtail first Sunday usher board hell Martell had on. Don't get me wrong, it looked like it was cut well and all that, but he has on a double-breasted white blazer with some kind of barracuda fur going all the way around. And no shirt underneath. Martell said hell with coming to America. He coming to Atlanta and he bringing all the animals. I don't know what the hell Martell had wrapped around his damn chest. So he comes downstairs and makes his grand entrance. He's greeted by his friends and all the attendees at the party. Chris Fletcher asks him, does he have a distribution deal yet? And Martell says no, but we working on that. You see Chris nod like, yeah, okay. So we don't take this shit here serious either. Okay. Marceau is in the mix, introducing himself to Keisha like Tisha ain't gonna bust his damn head when she see this. Melnika has Martell off in a corner giving him a personal pep rally about, look at what you done. You didn't bring us to frickin' frack. You brought us to a mansion in Atlanta. Girl, it's an Airbnb. You can book it too. So Martell is in the mix and he's taking pictures with the ladies who have come to the launch, and he's taking pictures with one lady and says something about act like you love me. Martell is a cornball creep with no game. So Martell gets ready to make his speech that he did not practice at all. But I bet you he practiced that damn outfit. I bet you he laid that damn barracuda fur out 12 times and had the outfit laid out the night before like it was the day before school. I bet you he practiced that. So Martell starts making excuses for him not having a prepared speech. Because he's up there nervous, he starts calling all of his guys up. So he calls Maurice and Marceau, Big Lou, Fred, Chris, everybody except his uncle, who is the son of the grandmother who the wine is named for. Now, while Martell is standing up there like he forgot his Easter speech, we see his uncle standing amongst all the attendees getting progressively more pissed off. And Marceau is in the confessional talking about, you know, he's never seen Martell like this, just tongue-tied and not knowing what to do or say. And maybe that's because he had never had to do this without his partner before. Because basically Mel was always the face and mouthpiece of everything that they did. So Martell starts talking and he comes up with a speech on the fly about how this iNest launch isn't just about iNest. That they've all eaten and drank and driven other people's shit long enough. And they are all business owners. It is time that they own that. And he is just happy that he owns something. So we're toasting to ownership. And they look across the room. And Uncle Sam looked like a bull in a china shop. Like he about to tear every damn thing up. So Uncle Sam is in the back talking to his wife. This motherfucker didn't say shit. He ain't acknowledged my mother. That's my mother. That's my mother, man. And Uncle Sam's wife is trying to calm him down. She said, well, you know, you think maybe he a little messed up, you know, from the wine. Uncle said, no. So Uncle Sam goes outside and finds Martell to confront him. Martell sees his uncle coming up. He tries to, you know, dap him up. And Uncle said, no. Martell said, well, what's wrong? He said, that's my mother. And you didn't even acknowledge her in your speech. That's the best you could do? Martell leans in and whispers in his uncle's ear and says, don't ever do that on national TV. You'll regret it. His uncle said, but I don't regret nothing though. But you good? And he went to walk off. Martell keeps trying to stop him. And his uncle keeps telling him, no, I told you, you good. Leave me alone. Just let me go. And he keeps, what's the problem? What's wrong? Now, first of all, Uncle Sam gives me Buster Douglas vibes. You might need to just go ahead and let him get on down the sidewalk and up the street, because he looked like he called his fist lightning and thunder and he will knock you in the next week. That's just what he gives me. Now, was the uncle's reaction an overreaction? Maybe, yes, probably. However, I kind of think I understand what triggered him. I think what really sent the uncle over the edge was not Martell not acknowledging the grandmother, because I think if Martell had explained, listen, I got nervous, I'm not good at speeches, I just went with whatever came off the top of my head. His uncle doesn't give me the vibe that he's so unreasonable that he would not have been able to understand that. However, I think when Martell responded to his uncle by saying, don't ever do that on national TV, you'll regret it. When he finally asked him, where's the respect? I'm serious. That's when his uncle pretty much went over the edge, because now you've literally added insult to injury. And that's what Uncle Sam said. Did you just ask me where's the respect? First of all, you didn't acknowledge my mother. You didn't acknowledge me. There was no real acknowledgement, no real honor given to his mother. That's what I think he's upset about. That here I have my nephew, my mother's grandchild, who is using her name and saying this is about legacy, but then when it comes time to actually launch it, there is no acknowledgement of her. There is no acknowledgement of legacy. What also added insult to injury is the fact that you called everybody up except your uncle. And you got a whole cast of friends, but not the one person in the room who is actually connected to this legacy. I think all of that played into the reaction that we saw. His uncle finally stomps off. Martell tries to follow him. The uncle slams the door on Martell. Martell is following him and his wife throughout the house and down the street while they are getting ready to leave. They are down there arguing. Martell is telling the cameras, don't you come down here because it's some real family stuff. Like me and my uncle probably have to fight in the field later on. While all this is going on, the guys are looking for Martell to take a group picture. Well, Chris, with his ever-observant self, said, hey, y'all saw Martell, uncle? Y'all saw him go stomping out? Y'all, he was big mad. So that might be where Martell at. Chris said, yeah, I think he was upset more about his mom than anything else. And Maurice said, but Martell is doing the best he can. So Marceau interjects and says, but with the wine being named Inest and Inest's son being in the room, he probably should have been acknowledged. Maurice said, yeah, that's true. He probably should have been brought up, but this is the first go round. So Chris said, but that's the thing. You know what they say. You only get one chance at a first impression. Him didn't do good. And Lewis kind of wraps up the conversation by saying he feels like they're arguing the same point, because Martell went so far as to actually name the wine after his grandmother. And what Sam is upset about is that he feels like Martell didn't say enough about the grandmother, but naming the wine after her is an honor in and of itself. They're going to have to come to terms between them before the next family reunion about what is acceptable and respectable in terms of honoring their matriarch. After this is all over, the guys pack up and leave, and we move on to see Tiffany and Lewis at home having a business meeting about their marriage. Tiffany is pretending to be concerned and jealous about what he might have done while he was in Atlanta. Girl, we don't give a damn, just like you don't give a damn, okay? So Lewis tells her about their rage room experience, and she was like, well, what did you have to rage about? And he says, well, my topic ended up being sexual frustration. Tiffany goes on this whole rant of making Lewis wrong for wanting sex from his wife that his wife won't give him. Maybe you need to see a doctor if you need to rage about it. Like, that's funny to me. There are things that could happen to make this more of a priority. You know, it's just like work. Louis said, yeah, it's just like work. Tiffany keeps going with, well, you know, if it was such a problem, real conversations could have been had, but they were, because we saw them. Now, we thought or at least, let me speak for me. I thought the conversations were fake. I thought they were staged. Either they are staged and y'all are sticking to the script, or they're not and y'all got a real bad problem. And you is lying about, I'm giving him this and I'm giving him that and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, because he said he ain't there when you doing it. Louis said, you know, listen, if I communicate to you that there's an issue and you just don't respond, you don't acknowledge the communication, that's not on me, that's on you. So rather than take any accountability for the fact that she is literally overlooking what her husband is asking for or telling her is an issue for him in their marriage, she deflects to a conversation about, is it transactional? Do you have it in the morning, at night? Or Louis said, have I done or said something to make you think it would be a transaction with me, your husband? Girl, just say you don't like your husband and you wanted a sponsor. You wanted somebody to take care of you. He looked like Boo Boo the Fool, and now you mad that he wants you to touch him. You don't like this man. You don't want this man. You don't want to do what it takes to make a baby with this man. I wish you would stop playing in our face and his. So we move on, and we see that Maurice and Marceau have made it home as well. And Maurice is at home with Kimmy. Kimmy is telling him how much she enjoyed her solitude while he was gone, but she commences to questioning him immediately. She wants to know if he touched anyone. Where'd y'all go? What did y'all do? Did you touch anyone while you were there? Did you touch anyone? Maurice, slick as he is, slides straight on into deflection. Yeah, so apparently Melnika, Martell's assistant, he made sure to let us know that something went on there, because he let us know she was male 1.0. There's apparently a male 1.0 and a male 2.0. So yeah. And Kimmy is, ooh, oh my God. What do you mean? Not a male 1.0. Did he say that? Because see, Maurice know his wife. I know how to get you off my ass. I'm going to give you some good gossip. Sip this tea. Yeah, sip this tea here, baby. There you go. There you go. There you go. Don't worry about me. Yeah. Sip that. Tisha's home asking Marceau the same questions. And so what did y'all do? Well, you know, yeah, Melnika, she invited a bunch of people to the tasting. They were all women. Oh, so y'all were the only men there? Pretty much. Tisha said, okay. Tisha looked like, let me stay calm in front of these cameras. Let me just stay calm. Kimmy and Tisha are questioning Maurice and Marceau about, why do y'all go to the strip club? Did you touch the girls? Yada, yada, yada. Marceau don't even try to explain nothing to his wife. Well, because when you're in Atlanta, that's what you do. You go to the strip club. She said, well, what did you do while you did? Well, you know me. You know how I do. She said, no, I don't know you. And I don't know how you do what you do. So what did you do? Marceau said, you know me. You know how I do. Now, while Marceau home not given the first damn or the first explanation, Maurice is home playing courtroom games with his wife. Well, when you say touch, do you mean like a whisper in the ear? Do you mean... Kimmy said, look, I don't need you to break it down into 2 parts. I don't need you to translate it. I don't need you to ask Jeeves. Did you touch any of them girls? Kimmy, let me help you. If you got to go through all these gymnastics, he touched somebody. All right. He reached out and touched that ass. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And here go Maurice Cochran. Well, hold on. A tap is not a touch. So if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. Maurice, go straight to hell. And Maurice finally comes out and says, well, okay, yeah, I touched, but I didn't caress. Then Maurice brings up the rage room experience to Kimmy, and he starts telling her about Louis. And yeah, Louis was tearing up shit, because he ain't tearing up no ass. He said, yeah, his wife ain't giving him none, and he's pretty frustrated about it. And Kimmy said, well, yeah, I had lunch with Tiffany recently, and she was telling me the same thing, that she kind of felt like they don't have enough me time. And Mari says, yeah, no. Married people just have less sex, period. Well, if you want to let us know there's problems in your home, just say that. And they cut over to Marcel talking to Tisha about the same thing. And all he got to say is, I tell you one thing, I wouldn't be in no sexless marriage, I tell you that. So Tisha starts trying to defend and define by saying, well, hold on now. I think being in a sexless marriage is different than being in a marriage where you're just not getting enough. Marcel said the same damn thing to me. Marcel said, I see people say all the time, I can't believe he would give all this up. He would jeopardize all this over some ass. It's not that serious. Yes, it is. Next question. I said, well, damn. Okay. Tisha got upset and said that it's not funny. It's not funny. But there is some truth to it. Listen, I'm not a person that pretends that sexual compatibility is not a major component of a relationship and part of its longevity. My thing is, why get married to somebody where you take this vow that they are to be with you and nobody else, and then when y'all get together, once y'all take that vow, you deny them? On the flip side of that, if you have the likes of Marceau, who has taken a wife, who has taken this vow to be your only source of intercourse, but you are not giving her any support in the home so that she can be the version of herself she needs to be for you, then you're a part of the problem. If you think you're supposed to just live your best life and run the streets and do anything you want to do, and all you got to do is pay the bills, and she should be there waiting and spread eagle whenever you get ready, it don't work like that. Not when she's running businesses, a household, a house full of churn and everything else. It doesn't work like that. Something that drives me nuts is people think energy, a person's energy, is a renewable resource. It's not. People are not robots where they just keep going and going and going because you expect that they should. It does not work like that. So in my opinion, to address this issue, they have to meet in the middle. Now, here is where Marceau lost me. Marceau says, if sex is important to me, but not important to you, then you shouldn't care if I outsource it. Now, see, Marceau is the type that'll make you outsource an ass whooping. Because who you playing with? Absolutely not. If we are that incompatible, that now, this is just me, because I don't do the poly life. I will whoop poly's ass. I don't do the poly life, okay? If we are so incompatible that you need to outsource what you should be getting from this marriage, then you might need to go ahead and get outside this marriage, because that's one game I'm not going to play. The issue becomes that you get to move the goalpost whenever you're ready, because not enough and sexless are subjective. When your not enough changes, you just gonna bring Sugar Avery around here? Absolutely not. So we can either find a way to meet in the middle, or we can meet at the courthouse. The choice is yours. So back at Maurice and Kimmy's house, they're having one of their third-party arguments, because they can never just argue straight up. They can't ever just say how they feel. So in response to Maurice's comment about married people not having enough sex, Kimmy says, well, married people don't date like they should. And Maurice says, oh, is that what it's called? Is that what women are calling it now, dating? Well, how about this? Girlfriends just have more sex, period. Maurice is my weekly reminder that I'm still growing. So Kimmy, being the adult that she is, says, well, that's because girlfriends are actually being wooed. She said being wooed is a turn on. Waiting on you to come out of the bathroom for an hour is not. What you be in the bathroom for an hour doing? He wasn't going to be in the bathroom an hour at a time. just for no reason around me. I'm sorry. You're going to have to come out that damn bathroom with a plumbing certificate or something. What kind of staycation are you on? Kimmy says, you know, and women also get turned on differently than men. So while all he needs is for her to come home, she needs to be wooed. So all them things you was doing before you bought that ring and paid for that wedding, she needs you to do all those things if you want her to throw it in a circle like she was doing before you bought that ring and paid for that wedding. That's what she's saying. You're welcome. Tisha says to Marceau, as wives, we have so many responsibilities. We have to run the household, take care of the kids, and all these other things, while y'all just run the street and do anything you want to do. And we supposed to be all ready when you come home. And then when we're not, and we don't have the energy to be what you need us to be, you go out and cheat with somebody who can give you all that energy because they don't have all these responsibilities as your wife. Marceau says basically at the end of the day, we have to take care of each other as spouses so that we can take care of each other as spouses. So we move on and we see Tisha meeting with Dr. Francis. So they talk about the last assignment that he gave Tisha, which is finding out who is Tisha. And Tisha talks about that basically she's gone on this journey of asking Tisha, who is Tisha to Tisha, outside of all the roles that she plays for all the people in her life, who is she to herself? So Tisha tells Dr. Francis that she has done some really deep reflective thinking and come to some realizations about herself. And her husband has become much more supportive and wanting to know what he can do to support her in this journey. And Dr. Francis looks surprised. Tisha goes on to say, well, you know, the last time we were here, he was talking about being depressed. And so he took a vacation by himself to Africa. Dr. Francis said, oh, he did. Well, how come he didn't take you? What Dr. Francis is doing is giving Tisha the opportunity to demonstrate exactly what brand of crazy she got. Let me see what would make this reasonable to you to the degree that you sitting here telling me this shit calmly with a straight face. Like, why didn't he take you? And Tisha immediately goes into, because I had to stay home and take care of all the responsibilities. And she said it like, what's wrong with you? Like, I mean, duh. The way Dr. Francis stood there smiling, looking at her, nodding, his whole face said, oh, you a special kind of stupid. Oh, yeah. So he left you home and went on a vacation by himself to Africa, and you couldn't go because you had to take care of y'all's responsibilities. All right, don't know what in the Handmaid's Tale is going on here, but let's just keep on going. Dr. Francis said, okay, so he went to Tanzania because he needed a break from everybody. And you were okay with that? Tisha said, well, I wasn't okay with it at first. At what point did your crazy activate to tell you that this shit made sense? So Tisha starts explaining that initially it did upset her because this was supposed to be a family trip. They've talked in the past about taking their children to Africa. But Marceau insisted that he needed this time to himself. She just finally said, you know what, okay. Dr. Francis said, you just said, okay. She said, yeah. She was so proud of herself. Lord Jesus, help her. She said, you know, I understood because I know he's a last minute person like that. What? Dr. Francis, let me tell you something. Last minute behavior is not the same as last minute thinking. Him saying I'm going to Tanzania is not the same as I'm going down the street to the grocery store. So him telling you at the last minute doesn't mean it happened at the last minute. This ain't going up the street, so he had to be planning and thinking about this for a while. And Tisha just, okay, right. Dr. Francis said, have you ever thought about the fact that that's not something he can come up with last minute? So it's not that it was a last minute decision, it was a last minute communication And at this point, Dr. Francis is about to lose it. Tisha, girl? Tisha got her teeth sunk into this bone and she ain't letting it go. So she said, but I mean, that's just how he is. He's a last minute person. He always tells me stuff last minute. Dr. Francis is just looking off like Jesus being intuition. What is wrong with this girl? Dr. Francis comes back and he starts explaining to her that there's a dependency issue. What he describes as the dependency issue is Marceau knowing that he can depend on Tisha to basically run his life. He gonna be able to do what he want to do, go where he want to go, come and go as he please, and he can depend on her to be right there and pick up all the slack. Now, I agree, there's a dependency issue, and there is that dependency issue, but there's also a dependency issue in the way that I believe Tisha is dependent on Marceau for her lifestyle. And because she is dependent on Marceau for her lifestyle, she chooses to overlook anything that might interfere with that lifestyle. And even more than from a financial perspective, to maintain her titles as a wife and a homemaker, and because she's dependent on Marceau to be able to maintain a certain image and lifestyle. So Dr. Francis explains to her that basically he becomes dependent on you taking care of everything, which frees him up to live his best life. And it literally burdens you down from being able to live yours because he doesn't have to do his part. He doesn't have to pick up his slack. He knows you're going to do it all. So Tisha says, well, you know, I've been trying to get him to change, but only time will tell. Dr. Francis said, did you just say that? She said, yeah. I mean, I didn't say it to him. I'm saying it to you. He said, no, you said it, period. It's a problem. What do you mean? Only time will tell. The question is, how much time do you need? Because time been telling you for the last 15 years. So how much time do you need? He posed the question to her, what is it going to cost you to wait an undefined amount of time? What is it going to cost you? He tells her, listen, at this point, confrontation is the key to healthy growth. If butting heads is what it takes, y'all just gonna have to butt heads until y'all can make some headway about the matter. Dr. Francis looked like he want to send her out of his office straight to somebody who can write a prescription because, girl, this is above me. Tisha said, well, you know, I hate confrontation. He said, well, we'll have to talk about that another time. You done ran out of time in this damn session and you done ran down my last nerve. But while we here, me and my wife been planning this marriage retreat, you know, since everybody else starting them a business from this platform. I'd like to plug mine, and we would like for all y'all to come if you don't mind, because y'all need the help. So we move on to see Martell and his mom at home grilling and talking and rehashing what happened in Atlanta. So Martell brings his mama some of his communion wine out, and she said, well, what happened in Atlanta? What happened that upset my brother? And Martell kind of explains to her, I don't really know what his problem was. I just feel like that wasn't the time or place to do that. Martell's mom goes on to explain it. You know, I think when he came up, he saw his mom's name spelled out in front and he was kind of overwhelmed. He felt some type of way. And then for you to be doing the launch and to acknowledge all these other people, but not me, and it's wine named after my mother, that was a problem for him. And so, you know, Martell's mama, one thing she gonna do is understand where everybody coming from. She explained, you know how he felt about mama, and it just did something to him, so I understand. And Martell said, yeah, you know, I get it, but when I apologized and I told him, you know, listen, I wasn't thinking, that's where it should have ended, and I do agree with that. Now, the issue is Martell also ain't really telling the complete story, because I don't think Martell even really understands that how he responded to his uncle escalated the situation. He's saying that when I apologized, that should have been it. And in theory, yes. But it was the way that you kind of tried to back him down with the, don't do this on TV, you won't regret this, where's the respect, do you know who I am? Those kind of statements don't come across apologetic. So that might have been feeding some of that energy that you were getting. But the other thing she gonna do is support her son. I know my boy was doing his best. I'm so proud of my boy. I know my boy did the best he could. And Martell in the confessional says he's just not a speaker. He gets nervous kind of like a version of stage fright when it comes to speaking publicly. So he didn't mean any harm. It just slipped his mind. He just was nervous in the moment. And I do believe him. Now, Martell be full of shit. But I do believe him. I think he was nervous. He was in the moment. He didn't prepare a speech. He said some shit off the top of his head, and he was just happy to get through the moment. And I think his uncle took it a lot more personal. So we move on to see Kimmy and Mel get together for lunch, brunch, or some meal of the day. They exchange niceties, and oh, I love that hair color on you, girl, and oh, you look so pretty, and oh, it's so good to see you. Now let's get into this tea. So Kimmy starts out telling Mel about the guys' trip that Maurice just came back. I asked him how it went because the first trip wasn't all that great. So Mel says, Kimmy, let me ask you a question. When your husband says that he's going out of town with Martell, that doesn't make you feel any kind of way? And Kimmy said, no. Not really. I mean, I feel like guys need guy time, and if I can't trust my husband to go out of town on a guy's trip, then we're in a pretty bad place. Mel says, well, the issue is who's the guy he's going with. Melody, listen to me. You have to let it go. You have to let it go. We know he's a dog. He just had the dog fur on at the beginning of this episode, representing his pack proudly. We know he's a dog, okay? We also know that the Scotts have dishonest husbands. We know it, and they know it better than we know it. They don't need you to remind them every single time you see them. You know y'all husbands hang with my ex-husband, and you know my ex-husband had been cheating on me. That don't make you feel no type of way? Girl, by definition, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. You're asking the same question over and over, expecting a different result. They know their husbands do whatever they do, and they're not leaving. Let it go. And Kimmy said it's kind of like Mel thinks because of the situation she's getting out of that everybody cheats, but everybody ain't cheating, girl. Now, that may not be the case. Like, everybody might be cheating, or it may not be actively cheating, but what it boils down to is everybody has the right to choose. And if they are making an informed decision to stay, that's their right and that's their business. Period, point blank, moving on. So Kimmy, with her smooth assassin ass, Kimmy said, oh, okay. All right, we want to play those games? Well, let me tell you about what your ex-husband had going on this weekend. Yeah, well, you know, they said Martell had a launch party for wine. Did you knew he was doing that? Mel said, well, you know, I mean, I heard about it. I didn't really know anything about it, but I heard about it. She said, oh, yeah. So they all went down to that. It was named after his grandmother. Mel is just kind of looking like, oh, okay, all right. Girl, yeah, some uncle was there. The uncle got upset with him because he didn't acknowledge the grandmama the right way and all. Girl, they had it going on. So Mel asked, well, who was the event planner? Kimmy said, her name is Mel. Apparently Melnica. Mel said, who? She said, Melnica. Mel said, oh, okay. Well, crazy as it is, I know who that is. Mel said, yeah, she was supposedly some longtime friend of Martell's from like middle school. She was supposed to be my wedding planner, but she quit 2 weeks before my wedding. Kimmy said, girl, what? I thought I was going to give you the tea. Give it to me. What happened now? She said, I ended up having to call her mother-in-law to finish my wedding. I paid deposits on things I never got back. So Kimmy said, well, what was her reason for quitting? She said, well, her and Martell apparently got into it. We were all on a three-way call, and she was going in on Martell about, you're a cheater, you be cheating. You came to my office and asked about hooking up with my assistant. Mel said, at the time, I was 22 years old. He is all on the defense about she's making this stuff up. And so I believed him. I thought she was just, you know, a hater that didn't want us to get married. Now, 36-year-old me would have believed that shit. So the episode ends with Kimmy in shock, confirming, wait a minute, so hold on. She told you all this 2 weeks before your wedding? Mel said, yes, she did. Now, I don't care what nobody says, there's something to that. I don't think she felt so morally obligated to blast this man. It's something to it. I kind of think Melnika got a thing for Martell. If they haven't actually had a thing like the guys are alluding to, even if she felt a way, there's a way to step down without knocking all the dishes off the table. Now, next week, we see that the wives are going to be trying to convince their husbands to go to the marriage retreat, and the husbands are only going kicking and screaming. And then Mel has an event, and Martell is bringing the kids to her event on his weekend. We'll see how this goes next week. But that's it. That's all. I ain't got no more. Thank you so much for coming down here, listening to me, and let me get it off my chest. And in the meantime, until next time, love you, mean it. Bye.